Welcome, travelers of the void, to a tale that echoes across the stars, a story of two combat philosophies as different as silence and thunder. The Renari Combat Doctrine, designed to prevent mistakes. Human Combat Doctrine, designed to survive them. Picture this: Crucible Station, a massive orbital facility spinning in the endless void, where the sleek silver perfection of Commander Life meets the battered, functional fury that is Captain Mara KENNET.LYTH moves like liquid death. His synaptic flow armor, a seamless shell of liquid silver, executing flawless subroutines of annihilation. No sound of exertion, no whine of servos, just the soft differential hiss of his plasma scythe carving through simulated targets. A sterile ballet of violence, the perfect execution of a billion simulations. And across from him, Captain Mara Kennet, a foundry, getting shoved down a flight of stairs. Her Hades rig hazardous axiom denial and engagement system, or, as her chief tech Keon insists, heavily armed and dangerously entertaining setup, crashes against the deck with each step. The percussion of her magnetic boots sends shockwaves through metal plates. She dispatches drones by grabbing one and using it as a bludgeon against the others, her kinetic rifle barking concussively as it fires tungsten slugs that make a mockery of physics. When the demonstration concludes, Commander Life approaches with an offer dripping with condescension. The concordance requires this joint mission into the Orion Verge to succeed. Your team's spirited methodology introduces an unacceptable quantity of chaotic variables. With a graceful gesture, he reveals a gleaming Renari suit, hovering in a containment field, beautiful, elegant, a masterpiece of minimalist engineering. The gift is an edict wrapped in patronizing generosity, declaring that human ingenuity is a bug to be patched. But Mara, with a weary-wise smile and a scar bisecting her left eyebrow, simply says, "Thanks for the offer, Commander, but I think we'll stick with what we know." The refusal lands with concussive force in the quiet room. The Renari observers stiffen in unison, the casual confidence, the easy dismissal from a species they consider barely space-worthy, an insult so deep their culture of perfection has no contingency. For it in their workshop a cathedral of organized catastrophe. As Keon calls it, we witness the philosophy behind their decision. Their gear is a tapestry of scars. Every modification, every jury-rigged system was a lesson learned in blood. The extra plating on Mara's left pauldron, a ricochet on Sharon Prime that should have taken her arm. The emergency power shunt, 6 hours stranded in crushing darkness. Their armor isn't perfect. It's experienced. Then the lights flicker and die. Red pulses strobe through the workshop. Warning: multiple unscheduled warp signatures detected. Proximity alert. Hostile fleet identified as Oblivion Syndicate. The warlord Virgo has timed his attack with cruel intelligence, striking at the moment of maximum confusion, when command structures are in flux and defenses recalibrating. The first kinetic salvos slam into the station's outer ring before the alarm finishes its first cycle. The glorious cathedral of organized catastrophe was about to get a whole lot more catastrophic. As the Oblivion Syndicate breaches Crucible Station, the contrasting combat philosophies face their ultimate test. In docking corridor Tarsius Gimel, a platoon of Renari soldiers forms a flawless defensive line, synchronized, lethal grace, cutting down brutish mercenaries with effortless poise. A textbook engagement, a clean expression of superior doctrine. Then a volley of Syndicate torpedoes rips through the primary fuel conduit. The ceiling tears open in a silent flower of fire, venting the corridor's atmosphere into space. The controlled battlefield becomes a zero-G vortex of shrapnel and twisted metal. For the Renari's synaptic flow armor, it's a data apocalypse. Predictive algorithms overwhelmed trying to calculate the trajectory of every non-hostile piece of debris simultaneously. The results are horrifying. One warrior freezes solid, a gleaming statue pirouetting slowly amidst carnage. Another enters a feedback loop, dodging a ghost in the machine. A third becomes prisoner to his own perfect machine as his frantic commands war against the armor's cold logica helpless. Spectator to his own demise as a crude plasma bolt melts through his chest plate. Meanwhile, Mara's squad arrives through a side airlock blown inward by Keon's shaped charge. They don't float. They own the ground they stand on with their heavy mag boots. This is their element, just another shift. Contact port side behind the cargo container, Mara commands, then flanks the Syndicate position before they realize she's moving. Keon becomes pure malicious creativity, using his grapple launcher to turn a hulking mercenary into a screaming shield before sending the man spinning into his comrades like a biological bowling ball. From a secure command center, Commander Life watches the tactical feed in reason-defying disbelief. The humans' chaotic, improvised, disgustingly imperfect methods prove brutally effective where his perfect soldiers catastrophically failed. They use debris fields not as hazards but as cover, turning environmental destruction into tactical advantage. They aren't fighting the chaos. They're composing a symphony with it. With Crucible Station, dyeing its structural ring buckling, primary docking arms sheared off, evacuation becomes fantasy. One path to survival remains, straight through the enemy flagship. Virgo's pounding us from a static position. Mara tells her team in a maintenance crawl space. He thinks he's already won. He's not expecting a counterattack, because a counterattack would be clinically insane, strategically unsound, and physically improbable. Keon offers, fiddling with a loose power conduit. Exactly, Mara confirms. Which is why it's going to work. Their plan: reach industrial cargo base, commandeer a heavy-duty ore hauler, take the fight to Virgo. The path takes them through the central commercial spire, a vertical death trap, swarming with Syndicate forces. Good, Mara says, her helmet's visor glowing in the dark. They'll be looking up. We'll be coming down. They rappel down a 1,000-meter elevator shaft. Syndicate patrols look up, expecting attack from below, never seeing the multi-ton Hades rigs descending from darkness above. They fight through the surreal nightmare of the Vidian promenade where failing gravity generators flicker between full G and 0G, holographic advertisements still flickering as they engage hostiles among floating mannequins and shattered jewelry displays. Finally breaching the cargo bay, they commandeer the Rusty Mule, an ugly, dust-caked ore hauler. Keon bypasses the ignition lock with sparks showering his helmet. At least these old tubs are built like a bunker with rockets strapped to it. As they flee, pursued by sleek predatory Syndicate fighters, Mara discovers the hauler's strength. It can't dodge, but it can endure fighter cannons splash harmlessly against hull plating designed to withstand micrometeoroid storms. When advanced interceptor drones lock on, Keon discovers they use a commercial off-the-shelf communications protocol, the same used in vending machines. With his skeleton key, Universal Dataject, he hijacks their targeting systems, turning deadly weapons into malfunctioning advertisements. Then a concordance-grade signal flickers in Mara's helmet. Commander Life, his condescending eloquence gone, replaced by a clipped, formal tone. Captain Kennett, your tactics are statistically improbable, but they are working. The data is irrefutable. He sends complete schematics of Virgo's flagship, the Void Claw, suggesting a direct assault through the primary plasma venting ducts. The maneuver is insane, he concludes, which is why you must do it. The plan is suicide, plain and simple, which is exactly why Mara knows it's worth doing. Use an asteroid field for cover, make a hard burn for the Void Claw's dorsal spine, and use the 90-second plasma venting cycle as a window to latch on for an EVM mission. Mara weaves the mule through the asteroid field in what she calls Devil's Dance, less about piloting and more about instinct. Point defense cannons stitch lines of fire through spinning rocks, turning asteroids the size of buildings into incandescent dust clouds. With a final desperate burst, she slams them against the vast hull. The shuttle's landing claws bite deep with a bone-jarring clang. Seconds before a torrent of blue-white plasma erupts from nearby vents, a silent, searing hurricane that would have atomized them. Exiting onto the metal plains of the Void Claw's hull is like trying to rock climb during an earthquake, on a ship actively trying to shake you off like a flea. As they approach the shield generator, elite guards emerge, wearing scavenged, Renari synaptic flow armor pristine sheen, marred by crude nerve staples and welded-on syndicate insignia. Engage on my mark. Mara commands. Don't fight them. Fight the suit. Make them guess. Chaos is the weapon. Tate lays suppressing fire, not at the guards, but at the hull plating around their feet, forcing predictive algorithms to waste cycles, calculating ricochet probabilities. Keon tosses a magnetizer charge, causing conflicting commands that make a suit stutter for a fatal half-second. Mara slides under a perfect lunge, slapping an EMP charge onto a power pack. One by one, they dismantle the perfect soldiers with chaotic, unpredictable, utterly human tactics. With the shield generator destroyed, they breach the bridge to face Virgo himself, a warlord encased in massive power armor. The battle is brutal. Keon fires a disruptor bolt that temporarily seizes Virgo's suit. Mara ignites her last grav mine and lunges. A glancing blow from Virgo hits like a planetary impact, nearly crushing her. But fighting for every inch, she rolls through scalding steam from a ruptured console, gets inside his guard, slams the grav mine onto his chest plate, and kicks away. The localized, hyper-intense gravitational field flings the multi-ton warlord backward into the ship's main power conduit. The resulting explosion tears the heart out of the bridge, and with Virgo dead, the Syndicate fleet falls into chaos. When they return to Crucible Station, their Hades suits are blackened, dented, sparking less like soldiers and more like scrap metal that miraculously decided to walk. Commander Lythe waits for them, his silver armor immaculate. He approaches Mara, his voice devoid of artifice. The Concordance will wish to study your equipment, your methods. Mara, with a tired but triumphant grin, claps a heavy scorched gauntlet on Keon's shoulder. Tell them that the secret's simple, Commander. Stick with what works. Lythe examines the massive concave crater in her suit's chest plate, the exposed bundles of mymer fiber, the hastily rerouted power conduits. What had always been a catastrophic failure of design, he now sees as a testament to survival. He points to Keon's chaotic, skeleton key, a nightmare of conflicting protocols and redundant signal paths that by all logic should have shorted out your entire system. Keon laughs wearily. That's the point, Commander. Logic assumes that things work. We assume they don't. This isn't a key. It's a box of wrenches, a crowbar, a universal percussive maintenance tool. It's not designed for the one time that it works. It's designed for the 1,000 times everything else breaks. Mara adds, Our gear has scars, Commander. So do we. Every dent, every patch, every ridiculous backup plan Keon wires, that's a lesson someone paid for. Our armor isn't perfect. It's experienced. Understanding dawns in Lythe's eyes. Experience, he repeats, a variable for which we have no algorithm. As he departs, he leaves them with a final admission. It seems perfection has much to learn from a well-worn hammer. In the end, as Mara's team limps away from their ruined ship, a symphony of broken parts and unbreakable spirit, they leave behind a simple, galactic truth that the most powerful weapon in the universe isn't the one without flaws, but the one that refuses to break when everything else falls apart. They left behind the silent watching aliens and the pristine, useless armor in its display case, having proven a simple galactic truth: that the most powerful weapon in the universe wasn't the one without flaws, but the one that refused to break when everything else fell apart.